What is happening, Skid Steer Nation? Welcome back to a new episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. As always, your host, Ryan Deemer. Today, we've got a unique setup going on. Number one, we converted the living room into a podcast studio. Yes, it did take 2 hours, but it's going to be well worth it.
No one's counting.
We're gonna have a hell of a conversation today.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a hell of a conversation today. A little bit different interview than we normally have. One, we are in person, live in-house. And two, he is not a construction business owner. Don't scratch your head, guys. We brought him in because he is a guru at marketing. Clay and I have known each other for well over 20 years. You've been in the digital marketing space for 10, 12 years now?
Yeah, going on 13 next year.
13 years. And I feel compelled to tell everybody, this happened just by happenstance, pretty much. You worked on the floor at Caterpillar.
Yes. Yep.
In the assembly area.
Yep.
And they did a major layoff.
Yep.
And part of that layoff was they would pay for your education.
Yeah, it was a big deal. The economic downturn of 2009 was one of the reasons that the layoff, the RIF happened. And with that, there were a bunch of people who were like, just wait around. They'll call you back in 2 months or so when production, is going to kick back up. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to kind of explore my options here and start doing some research. And yeah, found out that there were benefits available for folks that were impacted by that RIF to pretty much get training, get education. And so I ended up going back to school and getting 2 degrees in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, because we've known each other before that, but we got to know each other pretty well during that phase of you going to school. And I thought it was pretty awesome because we were 34.
Yeah, I went back to school at 35 years old.
Yeah, 35 years old. So we weren't like it was 21 saying let's go. I mean, you had kids, wife, like now's the chance, now or never.
Yeah, with the benefits and the way it was set up, it was a perfect opportunity. I got to work part-time, did have a wife, 3 kids, a mortgage, car payments, all that good stuff, and I started at Caterpillar because they offered tuition reimbursement, right? So I was going back part-time while I was working full-time. Then when that reduction happened, it was just one of those things where I'm like, I've got the opportunity to go back full-time and not leave with $80,000 worth of debt for, a degree. And found out when it's close to graduation that I just piled up a bunch of credits and they're like, you could actually graduate with 2 degrees. And so I got it approved and got a degree in marketing and a degree in business management.
That's so awesome. Hustle with the system and then grind your ass off, guys.
Yes.
It's just the way it is, right?
Explore all opportunities.
All options. So he worked at a marketing firm after he got the degree for a little while. And then I had poached him. So we actually hired his company, Zapsys Marketing, a guy that's not even around anymore.
No, huh?
Build our website. And this was before you had plug and play websites like we do today on the internet. Like you had to actually code it and create it. And it was a time-taking process. And we got really closer. We were already pretty close at that point. And then I hired him as our sales and marketing manager for Deemer Equipment, where we make the skid steer graders that are available, my selfish plug, at skidsteernation.com. And then you came and worked for us for a year
2.5 years.
Two and a half years.
Yeah.
2.5 years. So, So you've talked to our audience, guys that are like our audience, day in, day out.
That was my 40 hours a week pretty much was kind of revamping what we had from a marketing approach and different aspects, integrated a CRM, all that fun stuff, and switched up some of the ad spend. But daily was on the phone with guys who were doing excavation in the construction world, who were looking for equipment to do work faster, do work more efficient. And it was interesting because I wasn't from the construction world, so I had to learn all about our equipment, first off, how it was made, how sturdy it was, all the cool stuff that it could do for these guys and how much time it could save. And then I've got to relay that to them because like at that point in time, those box graders, hardly anybody had heard of them. And so, it was an interesting experience having those conversations day in, day out, figuring out how they were using the equipment, what they were needing to do, finding the right fit for them and all that good stuff. Yeah.
And then a large marketing firm came in and poached you away from me.
Yes, there was an opening at a marketing firm here in Central Illinois that for a digital strategist, and someone had pinged me about the job, and I went ahead and applied and spent 2.5 years there in the marketing world, working with a big yellow construction company.
You can say it.
Caterpillar. Yeah, I was with did a lot of digital strategy, marketing plans, media purchasing, and planning for a lot of CAT clients. Yeah, a lot of business units there at CAT. So, yep.
And then you kind of bounce you worked as an insurance agent for a while. Then you thought it was going to be the awesome opportunity of working at Maui Jim, the sunglass factory company, because they supposed to have this awesome fucking culture. And they hired you during COVID, and you never got to experience it.
Yeah. So when I graduated Bradley, there were a couple companies that I thought I'd want to work for in my marketing career. The marketing agency was one of them. Maui Gym was the other, because I'd heard all about how cool it was, that they had a gym there, like a yoga studio. I mean, I wasn't ever going to do the yoga, but the fact that they had it there was awesome. Cool snacks, you get discounts on their awesome sunglasses. And so, I'd always wanted to work there. And again, a recruiter kind of headhunted me, and I went through the process, got hired. And but it was during COVID time. So I was in the office all of 2 times to pick up my equipment and to turn my equipment back in that period. So it's a good company. They've got a high quality product. I had a lot of fun there. I managed their B2C website and the e-commerce platform. The media for it to drive the sunglass sales is really what I was over as digital marketing manager there. So good company, great time, but I never got to experience a lot of the perks.
Yeah. And then my favorite part of the story, you get poached back to the marketing agency that you left Deemer equipment for.
Yes.
To go back to working with Caterpillar and all of their large clients. I mean, you're talking about $1 million of ad spend.
Yeah. So COVID, provided interruptions for just about all aspects of life, including like remote work. People that had never worked remotely before were basically either forced to or, told to. And so through that, the agency had some changes internally and lost some people due to the great resignation that then occurred when folks started realizing that, hey, I can do this job from anywhere in the U.S. Why am I going to be here? And so they were in need of somebody to help lead their media department, and they reached out and said, we're sure everything's great in sunglass world, but have you ever considered coming back to our world? And I'm like, well, I've never not considered it. I left on good terms, and a mutual respect there. So I went back and was back at that agency for 3 years as a director level, leading the media team. So I built up the paid media team from 3 people when I went back, and when I left, it was at 15, and we had doubled the amount of revenue that we were doing for paid media placing for places like Caterpillar, Country Financial, handful of other companies too. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, just like most of the people listening to the show, you got tired of the corporate rat race.
Yes, that's the simplest way to put it. I have learned a lot over the last 14 going on 15 or 12 years in going on 13 years in digital marketing. I have been continuing to find my way in it, and finally was at a point where I was comfortable enough with my knowledge and what I was doing to be like, I think I'm going to do this on my own. Plus, I found a passion for coaching. So I went and while I was still at the agency as a director, I went and got certified through IPEC as a professional coach. And so I've been doing a mix of that and marketing consulting. But I launched my own business back in August of this year, and it's been no looking back since.
That's awesome, man. You got to love it when a guy takes the plunge and bets on himself. So I think that was awesome. I was so excited that you were doing that. I know it's always scary, right? Like, you're giving up the security. Like, you've got to go out and eat what you kill, and it's just a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I traded one bag of stress for a different bag. And however, though, I cannot complain. Like, the 4 months, the freedom to create, to think, to not being within a box, to kind of, pick and choose some of the stuff I want to work on, but have the creative freedom to know that, what I'm telling people is the final word, right? I don't have to run it up through chains or anything like that. And the freedom that it's provided and the capacity to work again with the owners of businesses or the people that's directly impacting is huge. When you're working with big corporations, it can be rewarding, but at the same time, like, you're miles away from impacting like the end user, like seeing the results of your efforts. It takes a long time, and there's, sometimes just a lack of appreciation for some of the hard work that goes into it. But when you're working with the small businesses, when you're working with mid-sized businesses, and you're talking with the owner or the front line, or in certain cases the customers, it's just such a much more rewarding experience. So don't regret it at all.
Yeah. So you've went back to working with a lot of mid to smaller size businesses. You've got an enormous amount of experience from your years at Deemer Equipment and even Semantle with Caterpillar about the excavation industry. When it comes to small business owners and their marketing, like what are some of the main keys things that you see them do wrong or not plan, like areas that they could really improve the most?
That's a great question. And it's one of the common things I'll see is basically like a lack of focus on what it is they're executing and trying to do, right? Like everybody, typically when you ask a business owner, a small business owner, what do you want to do with marketing? Well, I need more leads. I need more revenue. It's like, all right, cool. But all right, if you get more leads, you get more revenue. What does that change? What's that doing for you? And can you actually, is growth sustainable for you? Do you have the processes in place? Exactly. Right. And so what I like to do that's maybe a little bit different than some of the others is instead of sitting down and being like, all right, we need to run Google AdWords to drive all your leads or do this or that. Like, let's take an evaluation as a whole of what you got going on and let's define success together. Like, what does success look like ultimately? And then let's reverse engineer to get to success versus trying to do a one size fits all, or here's a plan for, company A, B, and C that'll, you can interchange the parts. So let's figure out what your company's really about, what you're trying to do, what success looks like, and then benchmark goals along the way to try to get us there.
Yeah, and it's the planning phase, right? Yeah. And like we do that with groundbreaking growth. Like I'll bring a guy who's been in business for 4 years, and I'm like, we don't skip step one. I don't care how long you've been in business. We are going to define your values. We're going to define your brand. Yep. We're going to define your message, because it's literally the cornerstone. And it's that grunt work, that planning work that people don't want to do because it doesn't generate revenue, even though it allows you to springboard. Yeah. Later on, and marketing's no different. Like no, you have to plan for it.
All that's got to be. You have to have all that, and that's a lot what I'll actually tell people, and it's applicable very much so to the construction space. Is you've got to have a solid foundation. Like you've got to build that foundation first, and you have to know what your mission statement is, your vision statement is, like what this company is about, and ultimately what success looks like for you personally and professionally. If you don't have that defined, if you don't understand that, a marketing company is probably never going to be successful because you haven't agreed on what success looks like,
Right.
Because there's many companies where I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. Half the time the leads aren't the problem, or the volume of leads aren't the problem.
I'd say it's 80%.
Yeah, it's the follow-up process. What's your sales process look like? How are you nurturing these folks? If you don't get a yes right away, like you don't shoot for a maybe, you shoot for a yes or a no, because a maybe is no decision, right? And so at least if you have a no, you could start to figure out what the issue is that's causing that no. But yeah, it's the sales process and really being able to understand where the gaps are in that funnel or in that bucket. Then you could talk about volume.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you see it all too many times where I talk to guys all the time, right? And they hire a marketing company. And if it's a lead generation style marketing company, they always suck. The leads are always shitty. And I'm like, trust me. I mean, maybe some of the leads are bad. And that, you got some bunch of tire kickers mixed in there. Yeah. But all the leads aren't bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And like, Angie's List is the exception, because I know some people out there rolling their heads going, bullshit. Yep, I get it. They recycle leads. They send it to 10 guys, and it's a dog-eat-dog world. They're just cash grabbing. But if you work with a legitimate company that's generating leads specifically for your business, and you say the leads suck, I will always say, what's your process from the time the lead comes in? How quickly do you get a hold of them? Yep. How many times do you reach out to them? And, what is your system for that? And is it all manual? Is it written down in a notebook? Do you actually have automations? Yeah. Because we can't do all the work, all the admin, all the marketing, and be successful at everything.
Yeah, they've got to be bought in, and they've got to have some responsibility and commitment to. We generate up front, the work on the back end to follow through to make the attempt to get somebody on the phone or get them through email has to be there. Like I remember years ago when we were working together on a couple one-off projects, we were doing lead gem for a gym.
Yeah.
And we were generating a decent click of leads about what we expected and projected. And they were saying, well, we're just not getting anybody in here for appointments. It's just not working on our end. We see the information coming in. We're like, interesting. And then we went ahead and filled out 3 to 4 of the lead forms and had some friends fill out the lead forms and put fake names, but put real phone numbers and emails. And it was amazing. We filled out 5, 6 forms and no one got a phone call. No one got an email.
Yeah.
And we went in and did the reporting meeting. We're like, how's it going this week? Well, same thing. I'm like, well, interesting, because we got 5 people here that filled this out that never got a phone call or an email or anything else. And they're like, oh, and there was a conversation that happened with the salespeople at the front desk. And amazingly enough, the amount of people that got contacted or came in after that week just skyrocketed. Yeah.
Yeah. We always had the joke. I worked in car sales for one summer while I was in college. I mean, great career, right? It's like, literally, it's the only job I know that you don't have to own a business. And with a GED, you can make $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
But the point is like we always joke because the leads would come in from the internet service or the website on Mondays. We'd always be like, sweet, we got 40 leads over the weekend. Let's go to lunch. Like getting the lead is just like the beginning of the climb up the mountain.
Yeah.
Right. It's the process. Like how many times are we going to call? What emails are we going to send? Like what information are we going to provide these people to get that conversation started? I think that's one of the big things too that I've noticed, whether it's your website, lead generations, or any of that, everything has a purpose, right? Like your website's purpose is not to sell an excavation project. No. Your website purpose is to collect the information so you can begin the conversation.
Yeah, the website is just a piece of the whole marketing puzzle in the process. Like the website should be polished and professional enough to garner interest from the user. If they're searching, it needs to be findable. You should have some work on there, some decent photos that showcase the work, but you're not selling your project on that website. You're getting somebody to fill out a form to talk to you about estimating the project and continuing that process. So again, just one piece. So if somebody does land on the website, fills the form out, if you let that sit for 3 days before you pick the phone up or respond to them, lead's gone cold already. Right. So just one piece.
And again, like following that process, the lead comes in through the website, then you make a phone call. The purpose of that phone call is not to sell a job. It's to pre-qualify the person with a list of questions that you should already have written out. We talk about it all the time. And determine if they're a good fit for you, and then find time to schedule an on-site visit.
Yeah, and that's what I love what you've been doing in your coaching and with groundbreaking growth is the systematizing of the process and making sure all those things are in place. Like we know that guys that own businesses are wearing multiple hats and don't always have the time to think through all this, but like giving structure, giving format to, okay, lead came in, make sure you're calling within, or responding within 2 hours of that lead coming in. If you don't get a hold of them, if you texted them or called them, you're sending them an email within 24 hours and calling again and having those steps and checking those boxes because much like you, I spent 2 years in car sales. And when my numbers were down, when I wasn't selling, I would go back to, am I doing the steps? Am I doing what I did when I was selling? Am I following up at least 3 times? Am I doing this? Am I going on the test drives? And it all comes down to that process. If you can niche down into a successful process and then things are starting to go south, it's usually you abandoning that process.
Right. And not to bring up alcoholism, but AA is the perfect example, right? They have a 12-step process. And it's easy. Yeah, it takes work. It's not simple to do, but it's simple to follow the structure of it, and it's duplicatable.
Yeah,
anybody can do it.
Yep.
That's why they're so successful, and their rate of success of people that can remain sober is so high because of that 12-step process. And if you commit to it, and the same thing with your business, right? Like you have to have a step-by-step process. Whether you're the owner, whether you got a lead foreman, whether you got a laborer, an office manager. Like everything should have some sort of a framework.
Yeah. And it's the only way to scalability because like if you want to grow, if you want to increase revenue, if you're wanting to go from, $250K a year to $500K, if you don't have those systems and those processes in place, and if you have to think about them when you're setting them up, are they scalable? If you got one person doing everything, you're going to have to find somebody else to work in, right? So you have to make those systems and set them up, stick to them, but make sure they're scalable too, because otherwise, if you have nothing in place that you're following, no rhyme or reason, and just shooting from the hip the entire time, you could try to get to 500K, but if you're doubling your revenue and still shooting from the hip, you're going to be pulling your hair out.
Yeah. So, and like, this is a quick little story for you, but one of our clients in Groundbreaking Growth, I've been working with Jared now for a little over a year. We met, so background on Jared, family, 2 small children, full-time in the Air Force, still goes to the office every day for the Air Force and works a full 8-hour day.
Yeah.
Started an excavation land clearing business on the side. He's got 2 more years till retirement, so he thought if he gave himself a 3 or 4 year runway, he'd have something by the time he got to retirement. So his goal was to get to 100K a year by the time he retired, so when he got out, he could just kind of run with it.
Gotcha.
Last year, I think that when we first met him, he did like 25 grand. But again, it's not the full time.
Right.
Gig.
Yeah.
This year he did over 120,000.
That's awesome.
It was a smidge chaotic, right? So all of our 2025 goals for his business, not a single goal is revenue. It is all systems, process, and procedures.
Yeah.
Because he can't go from 120 to 250 the way he got to 120.
Yep. You're going to end up risking your reputation, and you're going to end up damaging relationships with clients if you don't have those in spot, right?
And let's go to the other side of the coin. You're going to ruin your relationship with your spouse, and you're going to be burnt the fuck out.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
And you won't be present for your kids, and like zero. Nobody wins.
Yeah.
Like you can't grind 24 hours a day to grow a business.
That's one of the things, and one of the reasons that like I latched on to the coaching and love that aspect of it, because I mean, the day is pretty much broken into 3 parts, right? I mean, if you go by a standard work schedule, you got 8 hours of work, you got 8 hours of time elsewhere, and then you got 8 hours of sleep. And those 3 silos bleed into each other so much, they're not siloed at all, right? And so if you're continually burning the candle at both ends to try to grow something, at work, you're forgetting the other 2 parts. You're not sleeping, you're not taking care of your health, your relationships, wealth, anything. And so that's why the putting systems in place, establishing processes, committing to this is how I'm going to do stuff is so important. And the same thing goes for marketing.
It goes for every part of your life. And and we are blessed to live in the world of today because you can literally automate 80% of it.
Yes, 100%.
Like we could automate first emails and text messages for new lead gen campaigns.
Yeah, as soon as it comes in, like you can get an alert and know that it's happened, but we can send as soon as a form is completed on site, hey, thanks.
Right.
Appreciate you filling the form out. One of our, salespeople or whoever will be in contact with you shortly. It's again, that email is not designed to really sell anything or do anything. It's just to acknowledge the fact that the customer is not going into the ether.
They're not wondering, did he get my form?
Yep, exactly.
But I keep going with that. I automate a deposit every week to my retirement account.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that, it would be months, and I go, shit, I haven't put $1 in it.
Yeah, and that's what I love what you said. Like I try to imagine where my career would be if the digital marketing side hadn't taken off, a few years before I went to school. Because let's be honest, if there wasn't auto check in email and stuff like that, like I would not have a career because I can't spell for anything. But it's like you take that and you multiply it by 1 million, and that's with AI, with everything else that's available. Yeah. You could sit down and like, there's a small project on itself. What am I doing day in, day out that is a manual task that I'm spending 5-10 minutes on that I could automate in some way, shape, or form, right? And all of a sudden you'll sit down and have a list of 15 things. You take 10 minutes on each one of those and think about the amount of time you're wasting or you could be saving.
Let's say you find one thing that takes 10 minutes a day and you work 5 days a week. That's 50 minutes a week.
Back.
So let's just call it an hour. Yeah. Because sometimes it'll take 12 minutes, 15 minutes. There's 52 weeks in a year. So by removing that 10 minutes a day, we gain back 52 hours a year. Over a week of work is spent on 10 minutes a day.
Yep. It piles up, and that's the thing. It's all the little things. It's all the small things in life that add up and usually provide a breaking point at some point in time.
Yeah. And we're getting ready here, guys. I know we've just been talking a lot of philosophy and principles, and I think it's important because, yeah, we can tell you how to set up a Google business profile and like what words to use to optimize, but what are you learning?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not teaching you to fish. We're just handing you the fish.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to how we approach business and life and how we approach marketing and the services, that level of services we want to provide, right? You know, there's that foundation of doing good and doing the right things, right? Your discussion about lead generation, you know, quality here or there are a ton of marketing firms out there and fly-by-nights or freelancers that will guarantee just about any niche of business, 100 leads a week. But the catch is half the time that they're asking you to come up with $500 for, a giveaway of some sort and fill out this form and get an iPad and those aren't leads. That's a sweepstakes and there's going to be no quality there. And so with us, it's just been more of us always focusing on what's the best thing for the customer, for the client. Can they actually, sustain growth for that revenue? Do they have the right things in place? And starting with that very even playing field of where are we at and where are you trying to go?
Yeah. I'd rather have 10 high quality leads in a month, not even a week in this industry, that converted at a 50% return rate. So if we had 10 quality leads and we got 5 jobs, because our average job is 3,500 to 25,000.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on what niche and area you're in, like you can't get a septic system today for less than 10, 12, 15 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So 5 of those a month, in addition to his word of mouth, in addition to referrals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money coming in. That's $500,000 a year if you have high quality leads. And now you're not calling 100 people.
That's the thing right there. I mean, the volume is such an overpitched myth because what are you doing? All right, you got 10 versus 100. The 100, you still have to take the time to get in touch with them some way, shape, or form, whether or not you've got automations in place as soon as they complete that form or not. Like, you still have to reach out and qualify them, as far as do you, provide the services they actually need? Is it the right fit as far as, client, home, and project? And so you're still spending that time with those 100 people now versus let's get extremely, nano target in who the perfect fit is, what it looks like, where you've had success before, and start to build personas and target those individuals themselves.
Yeah. Most of the guys I work with in Groundbreaking Growth have never heard of a client avatar or a buyer persona, which is the same thing, right? It's just a detailed, granular level of your ideal customer. And for an example, I will read them the client avatar for Groundbreaking Growth.
Yeah.
And every time I read it to them, they go,
Holy shit,
that's me.
Right.
Yeah. I know it is. Because I took the time to know. So now I can write a message to one person.
Yep.
And it's so much easier to write an ad or a flyer or a brochure and go, hey, would John like this? Would John go, this is really good?
Yep. And it's so easy to come up and create those profiles, especially today with AI and other things. You can feed something like ChatGPT characteristics of past clients, or clients that have come back and done multiple projects with you. Like, what's the zip code? What's the age range? What do they do for work? If all these things.
How many acres do they have?
Exactly. And you create these personas. And like you said, you can go ahead and create your advertising specifically for people who start to match those characteristics, and you're not trying to shotgun a message out there. And when it comes from a paid side of marketing and media, when you have those personas, those avatars, a lot of times they have similar interests, behaviors, hobbies, and all that stuff. And so it becomes that much more easier to set up your really targeted audiences around, owns home in this zip code, has this level of income, is a DIYer, also might be in the market for this, X, Y, Z. And then you're building your audiences down to the folks that are already successful clients and repeat clients of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And we could talk for 3 hours.
Oh, easily.
I mean, in fact, we have
Yes.
over 2 whiskeys and a beer, just having dinner, because we just love marketing and what it can do to help a company. So the last time we sat down together, we were talking about there's got to be a way for us to work together.
Yeah.
We worked together for 2.5 years. We loved every minute of it. We both have this high passion for helping people.
Yeah.
We both enjoy marketing. I'm like, we got to find a way that we can work together. And I brought up the idea of bringing back the old Throttled Up Marketing company that we ran before Groundbreaking Growth, when we switched from doing marketing services to consulting.
Right.
And like, you chewed on it for a while. And you're like, well,
yeah, no, I definitely knew that we were going to end up partnered up on something again. And the more we thought about it and talked about it, and from what we've discussed, the need that's there for guys like ourselves that get marketing, that get the need to have open, honest communications, conversations, that get the goal setting and get the systems and understand the construction world and what a lot of these small business owners are dealing with. I'm like, this makes absolute sense.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so we sat down and we spent, 2 weeks.
yeah.
And we're like, if we did bring a marketing company to the excavation industry, what do they need? What services, with your expertise, my knowledge of the industry, your knowledge of the industry, my expertise, and like, where do we blend all that together? And I said, listen, everybody I work with in Groundbreaking Growth, the goal is to scale their business to the next step.
Yeah.
Right. And what you find in the marketplace is that marketing companies are trying to be a one-size shop, whether you're at 100K or 600K.
Right.
Like, they'll sell you the same service, it's the same price. And like, there's nothing to kind of say, hey, this is what you need for where you're at in the first year, first 3 years, second year, on your way to scale. So I thought it was very important to like, hey, I want to be transparent in what you get. I want to be transparent in the price of it, because like, let's not be shady, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
there's no reason to say, well, shit, we could sell that for an extra $3. Who cares?
No.
This is what it cost. And I wanted to grow with their business.
Yes.
So we sat down, we said, we're doing this. So you can go to getthrottledup.com,
Yeah.
check out all the services. Why don't you talk a little bit about the tiers that we're going to kind of build?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I mean, a ton of agencies out there that will, or say that they specialize in construction, excavation, or those type of worlds. And a lot of the times it's a one size fits all type deal. Right. And we understand that somebody that's, hovering around the 200K mark, 250K mark, may not need all the bells and whistles that come with that one size fits all, right? We still probably need to concentrate on putting the processes in place, making sure that there are repeatable sales steps and that we're tracking things correctly, that you've got a way to, house all of your estimates and your invoices, and make sure you're touching base with all the people that have not said yes yet and are checking in on the people whose projects you have going on. It's like, we need to create packages that fit where the people are at in their business. And I think that's what we've done with the 3 tiers we've got, is really looking at, okay, here's the base. If you don't have a website, or if you got something that, your best friend put together for a 12-pack or something that doesn't really showcase the integrity of your business, we can start you here. We can get that foundation set, get it built, and put you on the right path to go ahead and scale your system, scale your business, and move up to that second tier. And that's really how we built out all 3 of the packages: as starter, I'm here, and I'm up here and ready just to tear loose. So
yeah. So like, we called it the Groundbreaker package.
Yep.
For the kind of the first package, where we actually would build a custom website.
Yep.
We'll make sure the Google business profile is optimized, set up right, looks professional. We'll do an audit of social media accounts. We'll set up some automations on the back end through their website, and we'll be available to help, like what we talked about, philosophy, frameworks, and systems, man. Like, you get a little bit of the Groundbreaking Growth program with this, because like, we're not just a marketing company.
Right.
It's a holistic approach, and marketing is a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and that's why I love this pairing and this partnership, and this and the idea of Get Throttled Up is there is marketing, but there's also business consulting. There's also personal coaching. There's also, all of it pulling together, because as we said, you have to be able to look at the whole, and hi, baby. You got to be able to make sure that you're taking care of all aspects, right? And so that's one of the great things about us pairing up as, marketing experts, as consultants, as coaches. It gives our clients that full spectrum of assistance that you really need to become a successful business person.
Right. Yeah. And then as you grow, like, we need to get more dialed in on SEOs for for more specific services. We need to create blogs to create education.
Right.
Yeah, a blog post is awesome, but if you don't even have a website, it's irrelevant.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And that's the packages we've got are structured to do just that. To basically grow with your business. And when you've pretty much mastered the groundbreaker level and we've got everything in place and working and we're seeing the momentum that comes with following systems, following steps, doing things the right way, it pretty much is the natural progression to that second level in which we dive in a little bit deeper because we got that foundation built and functioning the way it should be.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't think you should lick the microphone.
If this is your first time seeing Hazel, she's the Skid Steer Nation mascot. She's, she joins the podcast from time to time. So we have the Groundbreaker program, and listen, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's $4.95 a month.
Yep.
I mean, it gets you started. It builds a strong base. And then once you get to a certain level, you're like, hey, I need more. Great. We'll move you up to the Maverick package.
Yep.
We chose some really awesome names for these programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it.
Groundbreaker, Maverick, and Trailblazer.
Yes.
Which is only $9.95 a month.
Right.
Would you get a lot more one-on-one attention, a lot more services provided for you where we can start taking things off your plate and really getting granular in the frameworks and process to help you manage your marketing and improve your sales.
Yeah, we're getting more in depth with some of the reporting, with some of the SEO things that are done as far as your findability on Google. It's really starting to kind of turn the dial up, right? Like we said, we got the base, the foundation set, and now we're at the point where you're like, everything's flowing, it's working. Now let's go ahead and keep moving it, right? Because you can't go from 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's got to be progression there. Otherwise, it'll fall apart.
Right.
And so that's where we just start to dial things in even more. We start to, look at things a little bit more granular. We start to, as you said, look at other services maybe that haven't been focused on as of yet and start to pull more of that into the mix to help you grow that incremental revenue.
Right. And we kind of say, and just from my experience with guys in Groundbreaking Growth, these are the guys that are doing between $250,000 and $500,000 a year in revenue.
Yep.
Like you might have a full-timer, two, and a part-timer. You're starting to learn how to manage crews. You need to have a consistent lead of leads, a consistent growth of leads to maintain the ship, to keep everybody working. But it's starting to get chaotic.
Yeah.
So we need to have some systems in place for that.
Yeah, that's where those discussions come in, about if it's you and two part-time guys, at what number is somebody full-time who has responsibility to pick the phone up, who is doing the callbacks, how are we dividing up estimating, how are we dividing up, checking on projects and status and all that. Like those are some of the things that you got to think about before you just go full bore, right? So you got to be able to think through how growth looks and plan for that success by having enhanced processes and, defining roles and responsibilities before time.
Yeah. And then once you get past that $500,000 mark, like let's be honest, your goal now isn't 600, it isn't 700, it's $1 million.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So in order to get to $1 million, you have to build the process and the structure of all these different areas of your business to handle $1 million worth of business.
Yep. And that's more of where the even more robust automations come in as far as the CRM system, as far as doing automatic follow-ups, getting Google reviews at that point in time. Once you complete a project, you move them in a pipeline and it will kick out hey, give us some feedback. We thrive on reviews. You set up and automate that. You're getting more in depth with the type of content that you're producing. For those who you've done a quote for but haven't committed, you can put them in different nurture tracks to stay in front of them. Yep. And also staying in front of current clients. So, you don't want given the opportunity, you'd rather not have a one-off project with each client. You'd rather have continued work given the opportunity or referrals coming in.
It is so much cheaper to keep a client for repeat work than it is to continually fill the pipeline with new, fresh people that don't have the relationship with you.
So yeah, that's what, when you talk about the marketing funnel, you've usually got awareness, consideration, conversion. And whenever I'm explaining the funnel or working with folks on the marketing funnel, I start to, we bottom out here at conversion, and then we start the funnel to widen back out, and that's loyalty. And we want to make sure that we're focusing on that loyalty in some way, shape, or form, so you're not having to go out and getting somebody net new. You want referrals from these folks. You want a second project from these folks. And it's all about in how you take care of them after the project's complete, depending on how in depth you get and how far you go, it's as simple as a birthday card, a Christmas card, small things like that, right?
Yep. And there's systems out there that will automatically do that for you.
100%.
As long as you have the data.
Yep.
So we're not asking you as a business owner to sit down for an hour every night and write handwritten cards and lick envelopes and put stamps on them and send them out. It's just like, yeah, I get the value of loyalty. I'm willing to invest X amount of dollars into a system that will keep people going, man, those guys are awesome over at ABC Excavation.
Yeah. And we don't want to give away all the secrets to the clients, but like it's literally a email template that's, hey, blank, and then the platform will insert their names there. Just wanted to say thanks again for allowing me to help you out with the project. Also know it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks, whatever, right? And then the system, as long as you've got their birth dates, which you can get on a customer intake form, right? It will send it out to them automatically. It'll just put a tag when the date comes, sends it out the day of.
If you don't have a birthday, we can pick
a holiday.
4th of July,
Yep.
Thanksgiving. Like
exactly.
Right. But yeah, so like those things are awesome. And when you're doing less than $250,000 a year, you don't have an enormous amount of clients. You can afford to do that by hand.
Right. You've got
go buy thank you cards, handwrite them, send them within a week after you complete the job.
Yep.
And if that's all you can do, that will still convert loyalty.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Right? So like looking at how we structure this is like, man, these guys need our help. I mean, there's a couple guys in the market that are really good at excavation marketing.
Yeah.
But they know they're good at it. Right? If you call and get a price for one of their programs, it's like if you've never worked with them, like it's probably a little hard to swallow.
Yeah.
The people that do take the jump to work with them are very happy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right? But not all the companies are like that. There's also a lot of ones out there that are just like grabbing 12, 15, $2,000 a month, and it's a lead service.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're not seeing the value for your business.
Yeah, there's a
Hazel. Come here.
The boom of digital marketing, the boom of online courses and trainings and a lot of these things have led to some businesses that are less than desirable to work with. There's a lot of quote unquote gurus or marketing experts that have stood up online businesses to service residential type residential service companies. So roofing, HVAC, plumbing, electricians, because guess what? Every house needs one. They know that business is always going to be there in some way, shape, or form, and there's always new businesses coming along. And so this is where they take a rinse and repeat a system and put together and are peddling it out there. And it's all about the churn. It's about them charging a lot up front and then smaller amounts ongoing.
Because they know they only got them for 3 to 6 months.
2 to 3 months,
Yep.
And then once the clients start to figure out that maybe this person doesn't have the, my best interest in mind, or isn't really willing to work with my business or sit down and figure out where I'm at and what I really need, they leave and they just go find another person to get the big down payment. And so
there's so many of them out there.
Yeah. And again, so it's the same thing like you were talking about lead gen. I'd rather have 10 quality leads and close half of them. Same thing with this. I'd rather have 10 businesses that I get their vision, I get what they're after, what they're wanting to do, and believe in their company and help them with the packages we've created, than try to go through the play numbers game. It's just,
Yep. And that was one of the reasons why I thought it was very important not to have a initial fee for the build out. I'm like, hey, yeah, we don't make shit. We probably lose money month one.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But I'm not building a 3-month relationship.
Yeah.
So to prove that I want your long-term business, I'm not going to protect myself.
Yeah.
Because this is the shit we talk about on your estimates all the time, right? Mobilization fees and by the hour, like all that is built to protect you, not service the customer. When you start providing the value of what you're going to provide with a number to that solution, they can say, man, this is a really good value for my money, and your customers will convert at a higher rate for your business.
Yeah.
So I'm practicing what I preach, fellas. Like, we're going to be transparent with the pricing. There's no setup fees. Shit, we're not even doing a contract.
Yeah. We would much rather, again, have 10 clients with after 3 months, 7 of them moved from Groundbreaker to Maverick. And then, in whatever other time they moved to Trailblazer, then to have to go out and find the same new 10 clients, every month and rinse and repeat that way. Like, we want quality folks who want to work with us, that we believe in their vision too, that we want to work with. And if 10 of them are down at Groundbreaker and like, yes, F it, this is what I need and I want to get going, our goal is to take all of you and have you end up at Trailblazer, right? So,
and I'm not committed to this yet, so I probably shouldn't even talk about it. This is probably my way of committing to it.
We can always edit it out.
No. We don't edit shit around here.
Burn the boats.
Well, we will edit when the camera died. But
okay. All
right. One of the things that was that really made Throttled Up successful when I originally did it years ago was that I would hold a quarterly or a monthly call. And it wasn't a one-on-one call. It was like a group of all the clients that were at the same level.
Yep.
And we wouldn't even talk about marketing. We would talk. It was more like a groundbreaking growth consulting call where it was more business holistic. What's working for you and how's that work for you? Here's how we can implement that into your business. And then you start building these relationships with these other business owners. I mean, the 5 of those guys that went through that Throttled Up, they still talk to each other on a consistent basis.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, and you mentioned that to me, and I absolutely love the idea and the concept. I think it's great, and would be love that we can work that into the programs. And that's one of the great things about where we're at and launching all this, guys. Like, some of this is beta. Like, it's going to evolve, it's going to change, and there's going to be add-ons, and we're going to be talking to you all as we're going about what's working, what's not, what are you still finding difficult or struggling with, and then keep evolving that program.
And like my first thought for those group calls would be like, let's group them out based on package.
Yeah.
Because if you've been in business for 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, and you're doing 100K, 150K a year, the needs of your business are not the same of a guy that's been in business 5 years doing $500,000, $750,000.
Pain points are totally different.
Way different problems. So when I answer one person's problems, I'm making the other person bored. Or I'm answering the other person's problem and we're going right over the head of the guy that's younger. So I really feel like we need to do 3 calls, one for each level, because then it's going to be more customized.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
We'll probably give some of the resources that I have created from Groundbreaking Growth to you guys as things come up in need. Like, we've got sales process walkthroughs. We've got a whole bunch of other things that, again, we can provide more value than a marketing company. Like, I can't tell you how many construction companies I've talked to that says, I'm getting ready to hire a marketing company. And I said, great. Let me know after the first day you meet with them and you hire them and they come work with you. And he's like, why? I said, I'm not going to say any more after that. And every time they call me, I go, how was day one? They go, oh, it was great. They came out to the job site. They looked around. We talked about this. I said, how much time did you teach them about what you do and the machinery you use and how many times they ask if they could sit in it? So that was what the whole day was. I'm like, because they don't know construction.
Yeah.
So now you not only you hire a company because you're already in the weeds. And if you don't know what in the weeds is, it means you're behind. You're
restaurant business.
Right. You hire a company because you're in the weeds and you need help with it.
Yeah.
So the last thing you need to do is to train the company you hire
on what you do,
on what you need, how you do it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, what do you think the keyword should be? Well, that's what I hired you for.
That's what I'm paying you all.
Right.
Yep.
So I think this is where we can provide an enormous more value because we're not going to work with a barbershop.
Yeah.
We're not going to work with a restaurant. We're going to work with service-based businesses and specifically excavation land clearing companies or land service companies, we call it, septic, land clearing, the people that are listening to this podcast. But in addition to just like setting up a system or generating leads for them or building a website, we're also going to be able to provide that holistic why, how it works, what you need to do within your business to make it work.
Yep. Yeah, I've when I was getting ready to leave the day gig and go start my own thing and launch the marketing consulting and coaching, I did a lot of research on entrepreneurs, small business owners, and there's like 5 things that just about every single entrepreneur, small business owner struggles with: employee management, cash flow, marketing, work-life balance, and feelings of isolation. And one of the things that I loved about the idea of the group calls and that It gives us an opportunity to talk to many folks at once to hear what's going on in the day-to-day, how things are going. It also gives them the opportunity to form some camaraderie, right? And help alleviate some of that isolation of no one else knows what I'm going through or feeling right now, right? Now you got another 10 guys, 12 guys on a call that are at the same level income, the same level revenue, working the business, and are sharing the common problems. And we will help where we can, but it gives you somebody else to bounce ideas off of, right? And it's just a great resource.
So let's look at this. We've got 5 areas we just talked about, right? So cash flow.
Yep.
Okay. What was the other one?
Cash flow, employee management, HR type.
So employee management, I've got some systems from Groundbreaking Growth that we could easily give you, and you're going to talk about in that. So I'm going to put half my finger down. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not flexible enough. Because we can help with that problem, right? What was the next one? Marketing?
Marketing.
Boom. I'm knocking that one all the way down.
Yep.
Because that's what we're here to do, right?
Yep.
Help systemize. What was the fourth one?
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance. Guess what, guys? When you have systems and process in place, and then you can set boundaries.
Yes.
And with boundaries, you can set a work-life balance. So I'm going to take that one halfway down too, and now my fingers are looking a little weird. And what was the last one?
Feelings of isolation.
Isolation. We're going to do group calls to meet other people. So out of those 5 problems, we can solve 2 completely.
Yep.
And give you a huge jump start and
give you the tools for the other things. Yeah.
Right. And if you've got those 4, guess what? Cash flow, revenue flow isn't as overwhelming because it's not piled on top of with the other 4.
When you're adequately addressing those other 4, a lot of the times the cash flow issue will take care of itself.
Listen, Jared and I talked about that. The guy that we set all the goals for 2025. I'm like, listen, if all of our goals are set up on systems, processes, and building the foundations to make life and business grow and be easier, you're going to be shocked at how much revenue you can do in addition to what we did this last year.
Yeah. Yep.
Because money is the byproduct of the systems you put in place for your business, for the value you provide your customers. And if you focus on these systems internally and the value externally, you'll never have to worry about money.
Yep. Agree. I love that point.
Yeah. Hazel's dying to get in your lap.
She is. I thought she's going to be up in there.
You've been avoiding us all afternoon, and now that we're actually live recording, you're down here in my lap.
Yeah. It's like somebody's going to pet me.
Someone's going to pet me. So, man, well, I'm super excited to launch this thing. I get gut feelings, man. And I'm just like, there's a gap in the marketplace. You've got guys that are getting really good at high end. And I get it, right? If your business is a marketing company, like you want the high end guys because they're less work.
Yeah.
But who needs it? The guys on the lower end.
Right.
And there's nobody out there servicing them. And the guys in the middle, they need more than the lower end or just a basic local company. But so I just saw an enormous gap, and I was like, well, if we're going to service one, let's service all 3. Between the 2 of us and the way we're going to train our team to manage this company, we can handle all 3. We don't need to be a specialist at new companies.
No, and that's what I am completely excited about this endeavor as well. Completely agree with you in the fact that there is a unique opportunity there for this specific market, given your work over the years with these guys and in this market. It made complete sense. Me dipping my toes and being in there for a while, but understanding what the business structure looks like for them and what type of work they're doing helps out. And then just combining what you've got going on from the consulting side, the systemizing, the process, setting up processes, wrap that in with some of the things that I've been doing in the digital marketing world as far as tracking, digging out and pulling out what does success look like, to you, and what does that really mean? I think it's a no-brainer. So I am just completely stoked to launch, get throttled up, and to start doing some good work for all these guys.
Me too, man. If any of this resonates with you, there's going to be a link in the show notes. Just click on the link, fill out the form, get a call scheduled to start with. We're going to talk with me because you're going to have other things to take care of. Again, we're going to build systems as to who takes sales calls, who doesn't. That's the kind of shit you guys can learn from us, in addition to some marketing stuff. But yeah, click the link, schedule a call. Let's see if this is the right fit for you. Let's see which package fits for you. Literally, I think it's as simple as where you are with revenue.
Yeah.
Right? If you're at 185, let's go through Groundbreaker. Even if you're only in it for 3 months, let's make sure that foundation's rock solid.
Yes.
And then we can always move up because there's no contracts, right? We can bounce around.
Yep. Yeah, we just add on the extra services to move you to Maverick or Trailblazer. And again, like we've got, here's what you're getting spelled out on the website so you know exactly what it looks like. But these things aren't locked or set in stone. That's why we want to talk with you. That's why we want to have meetings with you all so that we can customize when needed to. But we feel that these packages are a very good fit for the levels of revenue that we've referenced.
Yeah. So I'm so stoked for that.
I can't wait.
So stoked for that. I always ask my guests, and typically they're business owners in this industry, right?
Oh, boy.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to a business owner in the excavation about their marketing to help them get to the next level? Let's say they're below 250.
I would say getting crystal clear on the purpose and goal of any marketing that you're currently doing, right? Like the thing with small businesses is they'll be inundated with people selling radio, people selling local TV, used to be yellow pages, things like that. And it's very easy to say yes to these folks because I hear things on the radio. I see a billboard. I see this. I see that. And some of those could work for your business. But if you're not measuring it, if you can't tell the results from every penny that you're spending for the most part, you're wasting dollars. If you don't have a way to track an uptick in the phone ringing from a radio ad, if you don't have a different phone number on a billboard or a QR code on a CTV commercial that's trackable back to that specific channel, you're wasting money. And that's where we could come in and help. Let's pare it down. Let's figure out what's working. Let's make it trackable. Let's define success together. And let's start putting things in place and measuring, knowing that we can swap or change if needed. But being able to track and measure what's actually making the cash register ring is by far the most important thing, and it does not always become a priority.
Nope, I agree with that. And I never say this right, and I got corrected on it. It made total sense to me, and I can't remember what the correction was today. But I always say there's, marketing, you've got revenue generating, trackable, lead generation services, right? And to me, I always just call that marketing. And then you have branding, right? Like, Nike doesn't track the Just Do It ads to how many shoes it sells. It just never wants you to forget about the name Nike.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I call it all marketing. It falls in the marketing bucket.
Right.
Like that's awareness. That's the awareness level, and awareness
so let's do
is
that.
great.
We'll call it lead generation and awareness.
Yeah.
Sure. But like, are you spending all of your money on awareness when you're at $90,000 a year in revenue and you're putting banners out? Like, you don't need to be doing that. You need to be doing actionable items that you can track, modify, change to start making the cash register.
Yes, because you need to then take and convert customers that are happy customers that'll provide testimonials to fall in that loyalty bucket to then give you referrals and to be then video testimonials on your website, to be on the back of sales sheets if you got them. You got to build up that base, and you've got to have a base to start. And then that's where once you've got that base, you should be moving that revenue needle. And that's where more of a blend from, I need the name out in the marketplace because there's a new entrant that's come in, that's trying to suck up some of the business. Like it flows, but you don't go out with 100 billboards in the marketplace about Bob's Excavating, right? Like you've got to start with more of a solid foundation that is trackable, convertible, and resonates with clients. Yeah.
And then there's a time and place where you want to support your community and buy the banners at the fields of the Little Leagues, or, support the VFW and all that. And I get it. Everybody wants to be able to do that, but you have to be true to yourself. If you're at a revenue level where you're not sure how you're going to make the machine payment next month,
right?
The answer is no.
Yes.
Right? Every dollar you're going to spend in the marketing campaign and should be the lead generation side, not the awareness side.
Yeah. And when you are at the point where you can start donating, supporting the community and doing things, all those media tactics are trackable. QR codes, it's a certain link to the website. I know when it got scanned.
Yeah.
You got call systems where you could put different phone numbers on billboards or banners or this and that. And when people call that number, you know which ad it came from. So giving away to the community and supporting high schools, other businesses is great, but there's also ways to make sure that while you're doing that, you still make it trackable and know if it's making any type of impact on what you're doing too.
Yep.
Might find a home run within the local little league outfield fence. It's something like that one drove 10 leads and they all converted. So
yeah. Well, Clay, I can't thank you enough. Well, shit, I'm not. Why am I thanking you for coming on the podcast? Like, we were getting ready to launch a new business. We're excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
trade this in for vodka.
Trade that in. Trade that in. Yeah, it's evening time. It's much later than we normally record podcast episodes. So we're gonna wrap up with one quick note, guys. In the show notes, link to the Get Throttled Up. If you guys have been struggling with marketing, not sure where to go with it, trying to manage it yourself, or you have a bad taste in your mouth from working with an agency before, trust me, we're different. You've listened to me for an hour every week. You understand my philosophies. So we're going to just take these philosophies, because Clay has the same ones I do, and we're going to move them into a marketing company to benefit you guys and move forward with that. So don't hesitate, right? I'm thinking that we probably can only take so many clients the first month, right?
Yeah. So sometimes building that foundation is the most work intensive. And so I think we're going to have to discuss what that's capped at, because we want to make sure that we're giving the quality to everybody they deserve and don't want to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not going to use it as a sales tax saying, hey, there's only 10 spots available, but there might be.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the team in place yet. We're going to be building this business as we grow it with the companies.
Yeah.
So if you're on the fence and this is something you want to get going, let's get started. Winter is the time good businesses become great. SEO does not happen overnight. It takes 3 to 6 months. Building a website does not happen in 5 days, right? Creating your entire social media calendar for 2025 and outlining where that goes for you does not happen on an hour phone call. So December, January, February, these are the months we do all that work so that when March hits, you can focus on providing value to your customers.
There she is. She made it.
Coming up.
She made it.
She was coming up.
There we go.
So this is the perfect month for that. So guys, literally for $1,500 over the next 3 months, you can get dialed in and be 100% ready to go for spring. So on that note, we're going to leave it on that. You know where to get your attachments at.
I'm taking the dog with me.
You're taking Hazel with. Next week, we'll get back to our regularly tuned programming of having great conversations with guys just like you. Clay, thanks for sharing all of your marketing knowledge and advice. Even if you are interested in our services, there's a lot of stuff you can go back and re-listen to this and start implementing into your own strategy. And it really just takes a little time writing things down.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Ryan. And I am super, super excited about this endeavor, and can't wait to meet some of you all and do some good for everybody.
All right. On that note, stay throttled up, fellas, and we'll see you next week.